Good morning. This is a veteran from Trinity Prince. The reason I'm speaking to you today is this has been bothering me for a while, and I want to get it off my chest. I am not a security expert, but I have to talk about my perceived fiasco we had yesterday in Washington, D.C., where the Secretary, or what do you call him, Secretary of War, invited all those generals and high-ranking enlisted men to meet in Washington, D.C. To me, that is a security bundle. You have all these high-ranking military officials in one place. We were setting them up. We actually set them up. Anything could have happened that could have been a real disaster to the United States. The reason for this meeting, right now with all the technology we have, all these people could have stayed where they were and joined a conference to hear the same bullshit from our president and Secretary of Defense, or what do you call him, Secretary of War. It was just a waste of taxpayers' money. Those people could have met on Zoom or any other social platforms. First of all, we always seen that we don't have enough money, but to bring these generals and officers from all over the world was an added expense that could have been simply call a meeting and have them all on a secure platform. This was just a waste of taxpayers' dollars. If anybody has been in the military, know the cost of one general traveling, and to multiply that 800 times, that's a big hit on the taxpayers for some foolishness. The Secretary of Defense, whatever you want to call him, has said that military training is going to get tougher. Military training has always been tough. He wants the drill sergeants to start hitting and disciplining the enlisted soldiers. The reason we stopped that was drill sergeants were taking advantage of some of these kids. Some of these kids were hurting themselves. You could gather respect without unusual or harsh punishment. Hazing was not allowed. I remember when I first came in, drill sergeants used to swear at you. They swear at you bad. It's unbelievable. That is why they stopped it. Because we lost a lot of good soldiers because of some of the tactics they were running in basic training. Also, right now, you heard from me, and this is my opinion, Trump is trying to set racial relationship back many years. Especially in the military. Military was always the front runner. Harry Truman segregated the army or the military in the late 40s, 1947. Trump is trying to change all that. We allowed military women to join the military. He's trying to decrease the amount of women in the military. These women have done a fantastic job. While I was in, I had many fantastic female commanders that I was proud of. He's trying to set them back. We had women in combat, women that drove helicopters, did a lot of things. He's trying to push back on that. This is not what we're going to do. Right now, in my personal opinion, He's trying to get a white military, an elitist military. In my personal opinion, I think Trump is trying to um, take over the military, put his people and his choice. So if he decides he wants to become a dictator, I assume he's trying to best. They would just follow orders. Example, right now he sent troops into Washington. He wants to send troops into Oregon, Chicago, Illinois. He's trying to eventually declare martial law. He's truly trying to he already corrupted the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. He has taken over Congress from Mike Johnson, his little puppet. Man, we're going through some rough times here in the United States. We need to pay attention to what's going on. America, open your eyes. You know, right now he's going after his perceived enemies, like James Comey. My personal belief is Comey set himself up for this. You know why? Because I believe that if Comey had not intervened just before the election in 2016, Hillary would have won, and we would never have to face Donald Trump. But Comey, he did some wrong stuff, and he's going to pay for it now. Donald Trump is trying to put him in jail. You see, things come back, and when you don't do the right thing, it eventually comes back to haunt you. So, James Comey, you dug that grave, you know. But we got to be careful. You know, right now, one of the first things Donald Trump did was he fired the chairman of Joint Chief of Staff, a black man. He fired the Marine General. He just take over the Smithsonian Museum, the Kennedy Center. He's trying to get his hands on everything. We Americans are letting him get away with stuff that don't make any sense. You know, we have to get a little backbone and push back. Right now, the government is shut down. A lot of federal workers are going to lose their jobs. You know, and he's blaming the Democrats. He's right to blame them too, because they're not paying it. They let them get away with stuff. They ought to work with the Republican Party and finalize something, but the Republican Party don't want that to happen, because Donald Trump wanted the shutdown to prove that he's king. You know, but all I can say is, America, I believe in you. We're going through a tough time right now, but I believe that you will pull out of this and you would straighten out Trump. Don't let him destroy this great country. I do mean this great. This is one of the best countries in the world.